Shiny hunting has carried the Pokemon games for me the last few years, and I've done a couple of shiny only playthroughs now, but this is going to be my first attempt at a shiny badge quest, so come along with me as we find a ton of shiny Pokemon. There are a few stipulations to this run though. We won't use any shiny lines that we've already had shinies for, so every Pokemon will be fresh to me. We're also going to be doing this Nuzlocke style, so first eligible shiny for each section will be the shiny that we use, and obviously we won't be using items in battle. If you've never seen a shiny only badge quest, essentially you need to find and catch a shiny Pokemon before each badge. In Scarlet and Violet, instead of just 8 gym badges in the Elite Four, they also have badges for defeating Team Star bases and the Titans, totaling 18 badges before the last 3. We usually start our Scarlet and Violet shiny only runs with a random encounter on Poco Path, but with the last 2 runs starting with the Spidops line and we've already gotten Fletchling, I've decided to skip the early game BS and find our first outbreak, Palmy. This hunt went by very quick, and I decided that for at least a few of these hunts, I'm going to try and get multiple of the shinies for a living dex. It's a huge background goal, but I think I'm like 300 in, so might as well keep going. It only took a couple of hours to get all 3 shiny Palmy, starting this run off great and filling me with hope and motivation. I mean, look at these cute little guys. Sparkplug, Pikachu Jr., Demetrius. They could motivate anyone. With our first team member secured, it's on to the first gym challenge. The Bug Gym Leader, Katie. After showing off my Rocket League skills a bit, I trained my new rat to evolve before taking on the gym battle. I may have a type advantage, but this battle is still a 3-on-1, so I had to lean into Sparkplug's strengths, which currently were the ability to paralyze and dig. The Nuzzle Dig combo worked like a charm, slowing the opponent's Pokemon and rendering them useless for a turn while also dodging a bunch of attacks underground went nearly perfect. Nearly. Teddy Ursa hit a Fury Cutter on us that literally left us with 1 HP. I thought it was like the BDSP buddy feature for a second and maybe Palmont had toughed it out, but it appears that I just got super lucky. And just like that, 1 badge down, 17 to go. Throughout this challenge, there were a bunch of opportunities to hunt some really great Pokemon, but between already having their shiny or not having enough badges to actually get to them, I had to pass on some bangers. Our next shiny is going to be Happiny. I wanted to really torture myself and do a hunt that required me to squint at my screen for hours. After a bit of questioning my sanity, we found our little shiny Happiny, which in hindsight, I should have probably gotten a little later in the video, but oh well. Random question, do y'all match the ball you use to catch the shiny, or are you guys just weird? Let me know in the comments. We tried to go for the rest of the shiny line, but we got stuck on a cliff and decided that that's a sign to go to sleep for the night. Before we head over to our next challenge, we needed to stop by Levincia to find an oval stone to evolve our Happiny. Say goodbye to our little pink baby, and say hello to our putrid throw-up nurse. Horrible shiny. Now, in the correct order of the badges, I would be heading for the Stony Cliff Titan, or maybe the Grass Gym, but no. I have a plan, and I need to defeat the bird first. If you haven't guessed it yet, we needed the Sky Titan defeated in order to use Koraidon to swim. I wanted a water type before we do the Stony Titan, and what better water type than Arrokuda? Yeah, I've never used this little fish, and honestly, I doubt I ever will again. But I thought it'd be fun to do an even harder hunt to see while in the water. At this point, I'm really missing the days of that palmy hunt. After quickly catching our blue barracuda, we were greeted by a gift. A purple dolphin appeared just seconds after catching our third team member. This is our first random encounter of the video, but don't think it will be the last. Well, now that we have apparently proven that we are a water type trainer, we can take our 3 shiny fish and head to fight the Stony Cliff Titan. This giant crab didn't stand a chance. We chose to sacrifice Joy to poke some damage and confuse Cloth, but Joy ended up pretty much just soloing him until Arvin came. With another Titan defeated, we can now use the dash feature, and traversing becomes much more pleasant. Knowing that we can move faster, it's time to use a method other than the outbreaks. Let's eat some tofu and run around aimlessly, hoping for that 1 in 4,000. We decided to eat a fire type sandwich equivalent and hunt for a Numel because its shiny is not bad and its evolution shiny is genuinely top tier. Not to mention Camerup's a solid Pokemon. With all these camels walking around, it'd be improbable to find anything else shiny, nearly impossible even. At least Swablu's a great shiny too. While a fire type would have been nice, flying still gives us the coverage we wanted for heading to the grass gym. But before we can face our 4th badge, we have to find and round up a bunch of Sunflora. While I don't hate most of these minigames, I feel like they're super lackluster. Next was Beethoven himself, the local weirdo artist Brassius. This was probably the least skillful and most boring battle of the entire run. I literally just spammed Peck and profited. After collecting our 4th badge, we decided to go for a bit of a niche hunt and get ourselves a Dunsparce. I figured it would be great content if somehow we managed to get the 3-segment to Dunsparce on the first one just randomly. Regardless of how many segments he ends up being, he will come in handy when fighting our first Team Starbase. Guacamole thought his dark types would be able to stop me, but after some tactical switches, our team comes out with another victory. After defeating Guantanamo, we saw something interesting on the path leading away from the base. A shiny Rockruff tried sneaking by. I have already used Rockruff and have multiple shinies from its line, so we won't be using it in this run. What we will be using is a ground type, even though we already have ground type moves on 2 other Pokemon. Clodsire is a goated Pokemon, at least till late game in my opinion, but he will definitely make short work of the electric gym leader Lono. Before we can do that though, we are forced to test our Clodsire against Pneumonia, but she must have played softball growing up because she's phenomenal at catching these fucking hands. With a tedious rival battle out of the way, it's time to face the gym battle. Lono led with a flyer up first, so I decided to use Spark Plug to muscle my way through her first Pokemon. And he even managed to stick around and do it again for Belly Bolt. Chewing on her team like they were a piece of cheese hanging off a trap. For her Miss Magius, I decided to switch to Dunsparce and use him to lay the groundwork, although he got KO'd faster than expected. Once Dunsparce was taken down and Miss Magius was a little weaker, Clodsire was sent out to finish the job. For our next team member, we decided it was torture time again, and began to hunt for our shiny Choodle. Not only are Choodle tiny, but I wasn't sure how noticeable the color change would be in the water. None of that mattered though, because a pink sheep showed up to steal the show. It worked out pretty well in the end, since Mareep is replacing our Palmont, which is keeping our electric coverage, and Nemo's real dad evolved, so our water type is still a bit stronger, and we should be able to take on Mela, Team Star's fire leader. Mela led with a Torkoal, who couldn't last long against Sardine's dive and Aqua Jets, but Reverum put up more of a fight. Sardine got a hit or two in before being taken out, but Cotton was able to come in and finish the battle up for us. Mela's boots may be up, but her team sure isn't after facing me. For our next team member, I decided to go for a Pokemon that I've never really used, but I've always thought it was pretty cool. Roly-Coly's final evolution seems good, and honestly, this little pile of rocks shiny is low-key really nice. This hunt didn't take too long, and not only did we leave with a new shiny team member, but our Mareep evolved too. Mareep and Flaffy will always hold a dear place in my heart because of Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, one of the best Pokemon games to ever come out in my opinion. With our new team members, it's time for the next Titan. The Lurking Steel Titan is a giant Orthworm, which honestly didn't seem to be bothering anyone. In fact, were any of the Titans bothering people other than the Stork dropping rocks? Either way, Rubble started the battle up for us, but Sardine came through and handled the rest. I've been pleasantly surprised with Sardine this run, and I'm glad I gave him a chance. After Arven showed up for round 2 with the big worm, I repeated the same steps with Rubble first, then Sardine, but I had to end with Flaffy this time. In other words, the battle was easier before Arven came to help. Go figure. With another Titan down, we can now jump higher and begin hunting a grass type for the water gym, Shroomish. Shroomish might not have the best shiny, but Breloom has an amazing one, and is just a great Pokemon. I don't know if you would have noticed, but this clip is actually me getting my second Shroomish, because the recording for the first one is a whopping 6 seconds long for some reason. But anyways, we got our Shroomish and we went to meet Kofu and return his wallet, with slightly less cash in it. But before we can challenge him, we see something strange on the way. A shiny Cyclizar, and it didn't even run out of my render distance and despawn. The Cyclizar came with a bonus as it allowed my little pile of rubble to evolve into a much worse form. While Carkol may be a downgrade, we used a couple of candies to evolve Shroomish to Breloom, and that's an upgrade. If this recording wasn't a little older, I would have gone with a different name for him. But oh well. On to battling Kofu. Instead of risking our ace Breloom against his psychic lead, we started with Sardine. After a couple of turns, Breloom was freed and allowed to run through the rest of Kofu's team, Mega Drain after Mega Drain. Luckily, this is the Pokemon world, so this CEO just has to give up a badge. And with another gym leader defeated, we are now halfway through the bulk of this challenge. Taking another break from outbreaks, we make some of the most exquisite sandwiches known to man, and begin our monotonous track event in the desert, running laps in a sandstorm. This was one of my least favorite hunts of the entire video, but we were able to find our little dung beetle that we named Nugget for a nice little double meaning name. Before we head off to face our next badge, we evolve our Dunsparce and, surprise surprise, it ain't a 3 segment. But that doesn't matter because it's time to face Atticus of Team Star. This was actually one of the harder battles I faced this run, but the Dunsparce was able to take down his first 2 Pokemon before I switched out for Rubble to face Reverum. For his Starmobile, Rubble got KO'd pretty much instantly, and the Dunsparce was back out to finish the battle off. Shortly after this battle, we evolved our little dung beetle into whatever this is, and learned a move I'd never even heard of, Revival Blessing. This move is going to come in clutch in some later battles. And to keep the evolution spree going, Flaffy evolved into Ampharos, which I don't think I can say this enough, top tier shiny. Now, this is something that I literally don't even remember happening, if I'm being completely honest, but apparently I found another shiny Mareep just out and about looking for an outbreak, but I'm not gonna complain. Our next team member is going to be another great shiny and a slept-on Pokemon, Hawlucha. This bird-brained luchador is awesome, with such a cool typing. This Pokemon has actually been on my dream shiny list for a while now, so I'm happy to add it to my collection. There was one issue with catching this Hawlucha, but we'll get into that soon. For now, let's take our new team member to guess a secret meal and battle Norman and his normal type Pokemon. We lead with our new ace and absolutely obliterate every Pokemon we touch, but we only get to attack about half the time. See, that issue from earlier was that Hawlucha is over-leveled. I didn't notice until after I caught it, but I don't have enough gym badges to control a Pokemon that's level 55, and it takes its toll during this battle. Not enough of a toll to stop us from winning, but enough to drag the battle on for a few more turns. We actually end the battle with Rubble, who gains enough XP to evolve, and will actually start to become a pretty important team member. Now, it's time for our new team member, which I decided would be best suited as a redemption arc for one of the outbreaks we couldn't reach early on. Pawniard's Dark Steel typing would make him a unit in multiple of the coming challenges. Although, at this point, I forgot that he doesn't evolve into Bisharp until level 52, which might be a problem. Regardless, next on the evolution train was Swablu. Altaria is a solid Pokemon that honestly didn't see enough action in this run. Looking back, I feel like I missed an opportunity to utilize Altaria, but I also think it's partially because I got Swablu so early in the game. On to our next gym battle, Rhyme, which should be fairly easy with our new Dark type. Unfortunately, here's where it happens. It being me losing audio in my recordings. It's becoming an every video occurrence. It might be time to retire Streamlabs, or at least do a deep dive into what's happening, but we lost our audio for a big chunk of the next couple badges. Regardless, Rhyme's double battle format gets ran through by Pawniard and Breloom, leaving Mimikyu out and Leech seated while taking down her heavy hitters one after the other. Next, we are off to the DLC, which I said I wasn't gonna do, but I couldn't help myself. There were two Pokemon I wanted to hunt from the DLC, neither of which I actually get. I wanted to hunt Feebas and go into the next battle with a beautiful, shiny female Gyarados, but after observing the spawn rate of Feebas, I decided I'd rather ride a bike with no seat and wear a 50-pound backpack than do that hunt. So we reset for an outbreak of Ducklet. This is one of the most forgettable Pokemon for me, so I figured now was a good chance to get it. That is, until the date reset mid-hunt. After stewing in my anger for a bit, I found a Heracross outbreak and ditched going for a water type completely. After catching another pink shiny and a heal ball, we went off to challenge Great Tusk, the second to last Titan on our list. Heracross did some decent work in the battle, but both times Mushy came in to finish it up. With the ability to glide now, we can travel pretty much anywhere for this next hunt. Traverse the whole map even. Or we can do an outbreak of Donphin in the same desert we just defeated the Quaking Earth Titan in. This hunt went by pretty quick, and we named our new elephant Gravy, since this was recorded on Thanksgiving while hiding from my duties in the kitchen. We had another blowout battle with Nemo Na, and partaking in my least favorite activity in a Pokemon game ever. With that BS out of the way, it's time to face the Psychic Gym Leader, Tulip. I wanted to show more of this battle because I felt like I played it smart and it was overall an entertaining battle, but if you haven't noticed, the quality dip isn't your phones or your computers, it's just every clip surrounding that damn emotional spectrum. So, jumping ahead, we were back to creating fire sandwiches on phantom picnic tables in search for our newest hunt. I wanted a fire fairy and decided that I'd hunt Vulpix since it probably should have been bumped to fire fairy anyways, but never was. This running around for random encounters really doesn't work out too well for me though, as we ended up finding a shiny Pachirisu instead. Which at the time was pretty much worst case scenario, looking at the Pokemon that could spawn here. Either way, we take our purple squirrel and head to the slopes to show off our skills pokeboarding down a mountain in order to battle the last gym leader of this challenge. An ice-type gym leader, while usually pretty cool, doesn't stand a chance against my team. Knowing that this is an ice gym and what my current team is, 90% of us are assuming that I'd use Rubble to do most of the work in this gym. But insanely enough, Heracross took out the first two Pokemon, and Pachirisu took out the next two. It was unexpected, but nice to see our little Risu get his David and Goliath moment, especially against Sea Titan. With only 3 challenges remaining, but with them being somewhat difficult challenges, we decided to lock in and look for Pokemon that will maximize our chances of clearing them. A poison steel type like Reverum would be perfect for upcoming battles. This hunt was a little difficult trying to dodge all the engines yeeting themselves at you, but at least the shiny was a lot more noticeable than I expected. We took our new engine to evolve, although it doesn't quite look like Team Stars, so we went to go battle Ortega and take his Starmobile instead. After brutally knocking out a ton of cute little Pokemon, we were able to challenge this young lad and do what his parents obviously wouldn't. We spanked that boy. With another badge secured, we moved on to our next hunt with a horrible outbreak of Fido. I don't know why they weren't spawning here, but it took hours to get a better outbreak location so we could actually find this donut dog. With the doggy secured, we went on a training arc against an outbreak of dead doggies that ended with 2 piss yellow shiny Greavards. This training arc ended and our newest team member evolved into Bashibuns, allowing us to challenge the last Titan of the run. The False Dragon is similar to the other Titans as it's a 2-part battle, but it differs in being 2 different Pokemon. The Donzo has even worse luck than me though, as thunder after thunder after thunder landed and even procced paralysis on him. With the whale down, we took down the shrimp, and now Koraidon has all of his original movement abilities, and we are free to traverse the lands with no restrictions. So with that, it's time for our last hunt of the run, Mareanie. While Mareanie has a fire shiny, I fell in love with Toxapex back in Sun and Moon just using a new Pokemon on a whim. Of course, we also had to finish the run strong by getting a second shiny Mareanie for the Dex, before evolving the first one into a glorious Toxapex. Man, this is a tough Pokemon. On to the last Team Starbase and the last badge of this challenge. This Amazonian woman's team didn't put up much of a fight until her Reverum, but even that obnoxious defense raising ability wasn't enough to stop my team. That is all 18 badges secured, which means it's time for the Elite Four. I decided instead of continuing to just hunt random Pokemon, I would actually build a team from the box of Pokemon that I already captured and become a champion that way. The team I put together is pretty formidable if I do say so myself. Type coverage is all around, impressive stats without being pseudo-legendaries, and overall, I'm feeling ready for this last challenge. While I did manage to defeat the Elite Four, I should have checked what level they were, because I went into these battles about 10 levels under-leveled. But again, my team was good, so we were able to muscle our way through and become a champion. It's finally over! Well, for a shiny badge quest, I'm sure this was a very quick run. Recording this video took weeks, and editing it took hours and hours. I enjoy doing challenges like these, and I know you guys enjoy watching them, but man, oh man, are they a commitment. I wanted to start the New Year's off right with a solid video on the 1st. I'm already 2 days late, but that's okay. This video is fairly long and is jam-packed with content. I want to thank everyone who's made it this far into the video. You make a difference. And I want to ask, if you liked the video, consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing if you're new. I have more videos in the works, but I'm debating what direction I want to take the channel in. With over 60 videos, I've put in a lot of work, and I'm not quite where I'd like to be, so there may be some changes coming. Either way, I love you guys, and remember, have fun, stay safe out there, recruits. Peace.